Missouri's Education Department is working to fill a massive backlog of child care subsidy payments. A new online management portal adopted last December has plagued the system with technical issues all year. Missouri Capitol Bureau Chief Joe McLean spoke with providers about this problem.
Providers are still not getting paid. They're not getting paid in a timely manner. They're not getting paid correctly. And this is due to the new child care data system.
Lisa Shear is a child care provider in the St. Louis area. She's talking about the new digital management system for child care subsidies, which DESE launched in December. It's left many child care professionals waiting months to receive money they've already earned.
Providers would tell them to go back to the old system in a heartbeat. Unfortunately, they've invested millions of dollars, 17 million is my understanding, and they're not going to go back.
The department is now publishing a weekly dashboard to keep the public updated on where the backlog stands. The biggest unfinished job right now is correcting accounts that received the wrong amount of subsidy payment. The department said it's made 42% of those corrections that came in through the beginning of June. Samantha Cross also operates a child care business in St. Louis.
It's out of control. And nobody's being held accountable for it. I know providers put their life savings into this. There's a family that we spoke with that had no utilities on at their own home just so they can keep the business open. And that's just ridiculous.
Both major party candidates for Missouri governor call the situation unacceptable.
There is zero reason why we should be holding these payments up. I know that they said it's a technical reason and there's a glitch. That's all blah, blah to me. That's bureaucratic speak.
We've lost over 50 childcare providers in the last year, and the state owes hundreds of thousands of dollars each to individual small business owners who are trying to provide care.
DESE said it is making progress and that there are 15 system updates happening this month, which officials believe will fix most of the problems. Providers say until that happens,
I would tell anyone that was going to open a childcare business right now not to do it.
In Jefferson City, Joe McLean, WGEM News.